What's up, guys? Welcome to another week recap show with your host of the most, Derek O'Shea. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Thank you for tuning into this. This is my thoughts for the week as we went into just a crazy week. Honestly, it was a crazy week. And I think it's an indication of where our country is going as culture and as we inevitably try to live together in a society. Is that some big things happened this week. Michaela Bryant was shot while trying to stab another 16-year-old girl. And the cop was vilified, was put on blast by so many blue checkmark people and celebrities and athletes, whatever. And I think it's a ramification of a bigger cultural issue that I have with many people and many things that are going on in society. And is that I am under the belief that liberal leftists do not care at all about black on black crime. And they don't see it as a problem. They see it as, and if they do, they'll just say something, it's systematic racism, and so we don't need to address that or whatever. But you can see that through the outrage over things like Derek Chauvin and Michaela Bryant. Derek Chauvin was totally different than Michaela Bryant. Michaela Bryant was totally justified, but just the overall outrage towards cops, particularly white cops, on killing black people, and that is their main issue as opposed to just crime in general. And maybe the foundation of an issue too was maybe the parents in the home not being there, or like we heard about the Michaela Bryant thing, is that this Michaela Bryant girl, even though CNN is touting this girl's mother all over CNN, playing up the emotional thing, letting her cry on air and stuff. Turns out Michaela Bryant has been living in a foster home. Or the Adam Toledo kid, who the kid had been reported missing, but the parent had been out, and he was out at 2:30 in the morning at that age, just roaming the streets with a gun, hanging out with a 21-year-old or whatever his age was. He was very old. And people don't care about that issue. They care about the cop thing. And it came to, and I got to the point this week where this is the main issue, is that the story I reported today is the Rutgers professor says stabbing is a regular old everyday conflict, and Michaela Bryant was adultified because she was a big girl, saying she was overweight, but so is this professor, to be honest. And but she is just saying this is a normal thing. It's an everyday thing. It shouldn't have been handled by cops. I've heard even Juan Williams on Fox News say that maybe the cops should shoot in the air, which is absolutely ridiculous because where does that bullet land? No one knows. And it could kill someone. Yeah, but that's okay. But Joe Biden says to shoot in the air, so it's totally okay. That's not proper gun safety whatsoever. But so many leftists came and blasted this cop just because the emotions are high. Even Don Lemon went out, but then he retracted it and said, I'm sorry, and it was just because my emotions were high. Wow. Big on him for actually admitting that maybe his emotional bias played in to the story reading, which we all have. But it's nice to see that even Don Lemon sees that. So this is my gripe this week, whereas we saw this educated professor talking about stabbings are okay and the cop should not have intervened, and you saw more people talk about that. As we continue, Black Lives Matter activist says police shouldn't have used a weapon to stop someone from getting stabbed. Bree Newsome, who is a filmmaker, she's has lots of money, she's doing incredibly well for herself. Let's see how many Twitter followers she has. She has 468,000 people following her every word. It's just ridiculous. The post-millennial is talking about how she has a new take, and Brian, who had a possession of knives, according to police cam footage, which we've all seen the police cam footage. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. You can even hear the HD video that came out where Michaela Bryant is actually screaming, I'm gonna kill you. I'm going to kill you. So the cop wasn't just like, oh, I wonder if she's going to kill her. She's just threatening her or whatever. No. She says, I'm going to kill you. And then she cocks back the knife and ready to stab her. Newsom added, the Black Lives Matter activists, teenagers have been having fights, including fights involving knives for eons. We don't need police to address these situations. Sure, they've been using knives. But wouldn't you want, if you were about to get stabbed by another girl who's 3 times the weight of you, that wouldn't you want a cop to stop that any means necessary? Because the girl is going to stab her. If she stabs her in the jugular, stabs her in the heart. No. I heard even Juan Williams on Fox News saying he should have just ran at her at super speed. He should have just ran and tackled her. And like, if you've seen the video, there is so much going on in that instance. It's unbelievable that the cop even pulled out his gun, and apparently he's an incredible marksman because he pulled off that shot. And even the girl whose life he saved came out and thanked the cop for it. She understands logically like this situation was a big deal. But no, we have Black Lives Matter activists pushing this rhetoric of that all police are, racist, the police are the issue. We need to defund them. We need to get rid of them and put social workers on the task because they're the real problem, not the fact that there's actually crime going on, and not the fact that even people tend to run them from the cops or try to fight the cops and all that stuff. That's not the issue. The issue is cops being so racist. It's unfreaking believable. Another Columbus activist who is in Ohio calls for a federal probe into police after Michaela Bryant shooting. A Columbus activist, not that big of a deal, but it just shows you how the rhetoric, and it's not just one blue check mark believing this. There's so many people pushing this agenda, and not only that, we had LeBron James freaking deleting his tweets, as always, because he finally realized, oh, wait, maybe. But then he said that he took it down because it is stirring up hatred, as opposed to saying, hey, I'm a douche for putting that out there. Sorry about that. My bad. Actually, this guy's awesome. I would love to buy you tickets to the next game, send you some stuff. Like, no. You just say, I'm the victim in this situation, and it's just stirring up more hatred and blah, blah, blah. So, during all this uproar, all these celebrities, all these, activists, blue check marks and stuff like that, we have what's going on in Chicago even this year. In Chicago, 907 people have been shot this year. That's 214 more than 2020. I'm going to continue. That last year, murders were up by a staggering amount, but last year alone, 769 people were murdered. In 2020, the number of shootings were 3,261. In 2019, the murders were at 495, which is still an enormous amount. And then in 2019, the number of shootings was 2,146. It went up over 1,100 more shootings. And this is the issue, is that how many black unarmed people have been shot by cops? Not even close. But to the number of people who have been murdered or shot in Chicago, which is staggering statistic of black on black crime. But we're supposed to believe that the real issue isn't the insane amount of black on black crime going on, aka what's going on in their home, the opportunities that are involved, the Democrat mayors doing absolutely nothing about it because they don't actually care, and as the media never reports on this, as if this is a huge staggering number of people that have been shot and killed. And just overall shootings. Last weekend alone, I remember reporting 25 people shot, 5 dead. No one said anything. That is more than any mass shooting this year. And that's in a weekend. But those get the recognition the cop actually doing a great job in saving a girl's life. That is the problem, as opposed to this. They don't care what happens in inner cities. They don't care about you if you're in an inner city. In fact, most of the laws that they are passing encourage crime. As we see that rioters and looters and people who are destroying communities and all that destruction that happened all year long, that gets pushed under the rug. And also, they are bailed out. Kamala Harris makes a bailout fund. All these celebrities make a bailout fund. They don't care about your moral character. They don't care about you raising up and going out of poverty, aka that's why even the new capital gains tax, they want to keep you poor. And this new push for electric vehicles and as an infrastructure plan, as a grid, where it's really just a plea to cripple so much of our economy as the gas prices go up. Inflation is on the rise, and yet they act like they care about you. They do not care about you, and they are all about pushing this rhetoric of racism and saying that the problem is this white systemic racism. That's not the real issue. The issue is liberals not caring about their own communities and their own people in their communities. And as I report on this over and over again, it's the most frustrating thing ever. As less than 10 people, I think, have been, more white people have been shot by cops than black. All right? But then you do that fun little math thing where it's like, well, if you see the population size and you divide it by 5, it's actually a staggering amount. But they also don't factor in the fact that an mass majority of crimes have actually committed by black individuals. Why? Why would they not add that? Because it makes sense in the rhetoric then. But so if black people are committing more crimes and white people are getting shot more, you would think the real issue is these cops are shooting white people. But no. That is not the way to think. So they lie to you, they don't care about you, and they only want to push this rhetoric to keep you up in arms, to keep us segregated, to keep us not coming together, and to keep us not seeing the real truth that all these politicians, all they do is care about power, and they all want to just stir up a race war because they don't want to do the real issue of the conservative agenda, and that is that I don't care about what you do. As long as you're not hurting me, live your life to the best of your ability. And I encourage you to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I know there's tough times. If you try to say my life sucks, it does suck. But there's always somebody out there that has a worse life than you. So never compare yourself to another person. I don't compare myself to Bree Newsom, that Black Lives Matter activist. She has more money than me. Why would I spend my whole life comparing myself to another person? I just try to do what I can in the best of my ability. And my encouragement is to do the same. But as you see this continue rhetoric going down, call it out for what it is. They don't care. They don't care about black on black crime, and they only care about the narrative, and they want to continue to push this narrative because it keeps them in power. Black Lives Matter has made so much money off this narrative. So much money. And if you think it's not about money, you're crazy. So my encouragement to you is to find a good news source, not get stirred up in the chaos that is. If there's something that's out there if it's like, this is outrageous, try to slow down, think logically through problems, because we have a tendency in our culture to be outraged over everything, as opposed to sitting and thinking logically of issues of how to solve real world problems, but also factor in everything. The idea that some statistics are seen as racist is so dumb, because in that, it's their way of saying it doesn't fit our narrative and it makes our narrative look worse, so we're going to get rid of it. That's why they say things like, hey, DC needs to be a state. If you disagree with it, then it is because you're a racist. Or as that guy from New York, all my Republicans are just racist trash, and I've heard nothing but good arguments, bad arguments against it, and which is a total lie, because they don't want to have the real argument. They don't want to have the real thoughts They don't want to come to the table and have a real argument on why D.C. is not supposed to be a state. It's in the freaking Constitution. Ever heard of it? So I don't know about you, but I'm just getting so frustrated seeing this narrative, but then reading real statistics and thinking this doesn't necessarily make sense. Yes, I'm outraged when unarmed people are shot by cops that seem like it shouldn't escalate to that level. Any logical person with the right mindset is thinking the same thing. I would think the same thing if I walked around. Same with the Asian hate crime stuff. I've seen countless videos. A majority of the people that are actually doing these are black individuals, but no one wants to talk about that. They just want to say it's white, and they always highlight the white things, but they never highlight when the black guys, beat up an Asian. They never do that stuff because why? It doesn't fit the freaking narrative. And I'm so exhausted of just reading countless stories that are just lying to your face. And they do it because they want the clicks, and they want to stay in power, and they want to keep the narrative going, because if they just actually become journalists and care about just statistics and facts, then the ratings will go down, because people will say, hey, wait a minute, you've been lying to me for the last 30 years about this subject. Why are you now changing your rhetoric? Is it because you're caught? No, so they have to double down. But my hope is that many of these news outlets learn their lesson and start to change and just report the facts and let the facts speak for themselves, as opposed to having their narrative in their head and then letting that narrative drive what they say. And then they use little facts here and there to fit what they're saying. I hope you guys choose me, because I try my best to look at the facts and go to the main source of things before I make a comment, before I try to understand what's going on. I don't want to just be like, I don't want to look at information and say, okay, how do I make my party base or the people I like these governors, so I want to make them look good, so I'm only going to say it like this. I would never want to be that way. That's just, these people that are that way don't have a soul, they don't have dignity, they don't have integrity, and they just want to stir you up and then create a base and outrage. Because why? Outrage right now sells better than porn, because it's basically outrage porn. It's easy. I'm going to finish with this. It's easier to be against something than for something in our culture. It's easier to be against something than for something. My encouragement to you is to learn to be for something more than against something. It's easier to be against. Have a fantastic day, guys. I love you guys. Make sure to share this with literally anyone and everyone you know. You can put it on any social media platform. Tell your friends and family about it, because again, the only way we will grow as a channel, the only way I will grow as a channel is through you. And doesn't matter if I put $1,000 in promotions, they just won't promote me, and also the algorithms don't support me. So please share. Please, if you see videos of me, just click like or comment below. It just helps the algorithms out. And even if you just put, this guy is stupid. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And as always, I'll see you on the next episode of The Derek O'Shea Show.